I feel like there's a lot of storytelling out there.
Young women from Kenya, in Kenya, doing great stuff, and then coming together to curate a space on social issues. I just love their conversations.
And by the way, this is not like those fake founder stories of like, I started with a piece of hair to build my wig business. I mean, like, I cut, it's not those ones that are stories at Jabba. So,
people who used to be labeled noisemakers, those ones are very good content creators. Because like you can sit and talk and create content,
And you hear some of the things that people say and you're like, wow, this is where I would have been like, I'm ready to go see the Lord. Right. Lord, just come take me. Let's go chill in heaven.
I like that there's so much that you can do and that there's so many people now who've now gone before us and they started their own space.
And I'm actually maybe curious to see what a lot more podcasters are doing in terms of like breaking the monotony. I'm really curious. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Journey and Fields podcast. My name is Mwende.
And my name is Stella, and we're so happy that you could join us once again. Today we want to talk about something exciting, something so relevant, something that we can't avoid, which is the content that we are consuming online, has everything to do with digital footprints. And of course, by the way, I went somewhere and we're being told how important it is for countries in the global south, and especially women, to have a digital footprint. And so we need to tell more stories and digitize those stories. So that's what we want to talk about. And I think we can start with what we're already doing, which is podcasting or podcasters. Maybe we can start with why podcasts? Why do you listen to podcasts? Why do you have a podcast account, for instance?
I think I listen mostly to, one, nourish myself, but two, just to know what's happening in the world. Like, I feel like there's a lot of storytelling out there. And as a person who, when I think about even the things that I like watching, I used to like a lot of reality shows. So it's only like it makes sense for me to enjoy a lot of digital content that has been created by normal people that are out there in the world and sharing stories and telling stories that count.
Me as well. First, I like podcasts because you can listen to it just anywhere. When you travel, you can download whatever you want to listen to. Now you can even watch, which is amazing. And then I find podcasts to be very diverse. I feel like you can, and I know you can still find anything on YouTube, on Instagram and all, but there's just something about podcasters because some people don't want anything to do with the visual aspect, so they're just there on audio. But you'll find just about anything. It's quite free, and the fact that you can even record audio without having to worry about how you look, how you present yourself, I think it's so important. But I think for me, I like podcasts because it's flexible. You can listen to it while you're doing anything, really, working out. Even studying, there's even music for studying. And it's really easy as well to upload. But there's just the diversity about podcasts that is very interesting. What was the first podcast? Do you remember the first podcast you ever listened to?
Honestly, I don't.
You don't?
I can't remember which one it is. I mean, I feel like my earliest memories have definitely been with Mel Robbins' podcasts because I started listening to podcasts not that long ago, so maybe 5 years ago. The irony of you saying you can listen to a podcast when you're doing anything, I think for me, I am the opposite. I need to concentrate, otherwise my mind will start thinking about, I don't know, that cat that I just saw outside there. So I actually listen to them when I really want to pay attention, or when I'm just lounging, I'll put the podcast and then I'm chilling. And I could be, honestly, I could be scrolling through X. I think I need to be doing something else. But I realized that even for visual content, like on YouTube, a lot of times I don't watch. So I might put the content on YouTube. And mostly, I do this a lot because, because when I have YouTube Premium, so I can do other things. So sometimes I forget to even use, let's say, Spotify or something because of the advantages of being able to do other things generally. But I just have to be chilling. Like I can't, you know, you say you take a walk and you listen to the podcast. Well, first of all, I start worrying someone will hit me from behind. I even struggle even with listening to music, like when I'm walking, just because I feel like people are very careless drivers out there. I could be a victim of a circumstance, really. But for me, it's just that aspect of trying to be present that I really, really like. And I'm trying to do a bit more listening to podcasts while not doing anything. So even like scrolling through my phone, that's difficult. Yeah. That's difficult.
That's something, I think maybe I should also try that, because I know that I struggle with sitting still. That's a problem, actually, that you can sit still and listen. Because I like to listen as I go. So most times when I'm working out, I'm listening to a podcast. My first ever podcast I will never forget to listen to was the To My Sisters podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And I was in awe. I remember going back, and I started listening to podcasts when I went back to school, because the distance from where I stayed up until school, it was quite a distance. So that kept me very busy. And the first time I listened to them, I was like, wow, what are these two women? And they sound young, you know. Then, of course, later I went, looked them up and all that. But I really liked their content. I still do. And at that time, I didn't even have a paid account. I didn't even know that you should pay. So it was like, unasikiza kidogo, then
advertisement.
Unasikiza kidogo, then yeah. And
like, why in between my listening?
So, and it took me a while as well to then search for other podcasts, funny enough, you know. Now, later, when I'm back is when I'm like, wow, there's a whole world of podcasts, you know. And at that time as well, I started to listen to BBC. It's still one of my to go to podcasts. But I like that there's so much that you can do, and that there's so many people now who've now gone before us and they started their own space. Up until now, I'm like, I wish Over 25 continued. Then it would be a podcast. It would be such a good podcast. It would be such a good podcast. Just listening to those women. I really liked their conversations.
And actually now although no, this might be contrary, because I know when we start talking about the podcast we listen to, this might not match for all of them. But I enjoy podcasts that feel like radio a lot more to me.
I think that's why I also enjoy podcasts, because I love radio.
I love radio as well. In fact, I feel like radio was one of the things that was like my bestie growing up. My siblings and I used to fight, but luckily there was a schedule, because there were the people who liked Rick D's, so we knew Saturday. But then now, like, that sister of ours would say, I will wash all the dishes. You guys just leave me with the radio. I want to listen to Rick D. So, I think radio was very important, because we used it a lot for news. Like back in those days, even when there was no electricity, radio was very accessible. So you could listen to radio anywhere. So I think I like radio. I like banter. I like lively type of content. But I know there's a podcast that I will mention, and I know you'll tell me that it's contrary when that time comes.
Talking about radio, and I can't wait to listen to that. Talking about radio, I remember when we would go to Shags, the radio was like rotational. Very early in the morning, Kameme FM for my parents, like lazima kila mohoro news, everything. Like, and Kameme is still such a big deal in Central Kenya. It's still such a big deal. And I still enjoy listening to Kameme. But you see, the only challenge is I only listen to Kameme either when like I'm on my way home, and the frequency for things like classic, I can't listen to on radio on my way home. And then that's when it hits me, wow, Kameme is such a good station, So it was to be in the morning, Kameme, nini. Then at around 10, now we would get back the radio to ourselves, and then we'd listen to like R&Bs and all that. And then in the evening, Easy FM. Sitawi sahau. Dr. Love, Gioni, and R&B. And then, at that time, now you're a teenager, so you're thinking about love. And, you think you even understand love at that point. But radio was just everything. And because, there's no electricity. So radio, again, served as like the best thing. Maybe that's why we love podcasts.
And the thing that I think made radio better was that there was a break. So you listen, but there's like a song, you sing. And I'm actually maybe curious to see what a lot more podcasters are doing in terms of like breaking the monotony. I'm really curious. And I know, of course, the world is evolving. So these days people put a version on YouTube and a version on, let's say, Spotify or whatever other platforms. And I think it might be too much work to curate something just for the audio beat to it.
Yeah.
Because if I had a choice, I would put like music, like it would be a proper show, but
Yeah,
but it's too much work.
But have you seen any podcasts that are doing that? I'd love to see. I'd love to see. So that like it's very interactive, and then you're putting in music, and then people are jamming to something as a break. The only breaks I see now is ads. Oh my God. Have you watched those podcasts? And I love it. I mean, I can't wait for us to have deals. But wow, listening to some podcasts and watching them, especially on YouTube, and there's like
a 5-minute
2 breaks, and each break has 3 ads. I'm like, wow, did I tune in to listen to an ad? So it's very interesting. Okay, what's your favorite? Maybe we can talk about the top 3. What's your first podcasts?
So I listen to a lot of true crime. There's one particular channel called Just Thought Lounge, which the narration is done by one person. In fact, ndio maana najisema sahi, because I said I like chaotic things, but I like things that are quick and moving. But this is narration done by one person. So my first set of podcasts that I listen to are true crime. Those ones I can listen to even like when working out, maybe because I'm just generally so interested. But I think for me, it just teaches me how, when people say when you just have the wrong partner, a lot of things could go so bad. Because when I listen to a lot of these episodes, there's a lot of partner violence. So whether it's coming from the man, the woman, or for whatever context, really, but there's a lot of people in relationships that are really harming each other. And, those things normally feel so like they're happening there. They feel so like CSI, Criminal Minds when I listen to them, and particularly because this podcast is not local. But then I came about a YouTube channel called Silent Shadows. And I'm like, actually, these things are also happening here. Maybe it's just they're not in the news as much. Or maybe also I feel like some of these podcasts in the global north, maybe they're a bit better set up in terms of being able to do investigations, because the content is all out there. Like you can search online and there's a portal that will tell you so far what the police have done in terms of investigations and so on and so forth. And I don't think we've gotten that advanced. But I used to think that these crimes are just like a global north thing. And I used to wonder, these people, they're not nice people really, because the level of crime, but I also realized it's the level of access to that information. So I listen to a lot of similar content here in Kenya. It's just that I've not particularly found a podcast purely audio version of it, a Kenyan one. Most of them I've seen are also like on YouTube. So there's the whole visual aspect. But either way, I listen to a lot of true crime. I think I mentioned before that in this life, I thought I would be like a criminologist. I don't know. I thought I would be one of those people who is going to a crime scene. I'm trying to piece things together. So I think now that is me living my best criminologist life. But it's teaching me just so much that trust is a very important thing. And we have to be a bit more careful with the people that be, just generally trusting, because a lot of these crimes, I don't know the statistics, but so many episodes touch on people that know each other and people that they didn't think would really hurt them. Whether it's partners or even relatives, I don't know, like there's just things are wild out there.
My best podcast is It's Related, I Promise. Young women from Kenya, in Kenya, doing great stuff, and then coming together to curate a space on social issues. I just love their conversations. I feel like I relate to them, and even the fact that, because they question so many things, I feel like they represent me, because they question too much as well. I like their opinions, their analysis, and the fact that they actually understand their biases. So they interrogate issues from a place of, I actually know my privilege and I know my bias, but this is what I think, you know, and it's just a matter of anything, they've had conversations about finances and bringing in experts to talk about it. But I just love that it's the same context, so we kind of relate and
it's relatable.
Connect. It's definitely thank you for keeping your promise. So I really like that.
And we're waiting for new episodes. I don't know what has happened.
That. I saw that they announced that they're coming back, so we're looking forward.
I hope it's not one of those announcements where we are coming back, then you wait another 3 months. But
so
their content
pressure.
is really good. And the fact that it's a group of friends and they're able to do that together is really encouraging to just see. And I think the other thing that I like about them, so I had them somewhere on my, I had like, to be honest, I think I had like 7 options to talk about. And I had a feeling that me and you have some of them.
Of course, I'm not surprised.
In common, But I think it's also because, they are also young women. So there's a lot of things that are so relatable, and I think that's why we also liked Over 25. There's just a lot of things that are so relatable to day-to-day experiences, things that you've probably gone through, things that you'll probably go through and then recognize, oh, this is what they were saying, or things that you wonder. So I get why. I can see how they'd be top of your list.
They're just amazing. And I don't remember any time they've spoken about something and I'm like, what is that? It's always like something I thought about, and then now they've captured it and they are explaining and breaking it down into such relatable things. My other podcast, which is quite new, is Aspire with Emma Grigg. Have you listened to it?
Aspire with
Emma Grigg, the lady behind Good American.
No.
Man. So the thing with Emma is that she's a serial entrepreneur.
And her businesses are thriving.
But now, like, I always admired that about her. Until I met this other side of her, like the boss babe, the leader in her, speaking about things, topical issues. Like, she's even talked about this question of work-life balance for women and saying, like, I mean, please ask that to men as well, But I really like her conversations. And then I was watching another podcast. Now she had been invited to another podcast, and she was just breaking down her thoughts and her insights about leading teams and what that means and setting a company culture. And I was like, wow, So when she opened her podcast, I think it was in May, I was like, wow. And
I like that because, it's time for her to tell her story, because she's always been affiliated with famous
celebrities
that we know of, or we know, but
to see her story now, to see her story and hear her talk about her journey is just amazing,
and it's important because us guys will just see the Good American, we'll see schemes, we'll see whatever, but
the brain,
we think that because they're celebrities, their businesses are definitely just gonna thrive. However, they definitely needed someone to help them think through, set things up for success. And it's good to also hear the story of such people that are doing such things. And I think then this goes to my next set of podcasts, which, I mean, same but different. So I like Diary of a CEO.
Oh, my fan. I love it. Let's talk about it.
I love Diary of a CEO. So I think there are 3 of them that I will mention, which maybe I like for similar reasons, but all in all, almost feed into the same thing. I like when people that have started things tell their stories, and I hear that, because sometimes you sit and you look at a product, let's say Keringet, and you wonder, how did that company start? It's like, you even ask yourself, what is it that I'm lacking? Because people out there seem to be doing big things. So to just be able to listen to people tell their stories of starting, their stories of failure, their stories of changing strategies, their stories of rethinking things, all the way to the success that we see. I think it's very informative. It's also a good way to really just understand that things are a journey, and that you think that this person had a direct trajectory, like straight to success, but that wasn't the case. So if you're sitting there telling yourself, I have this idea, but I don't have this. I don't have the money. I don't have the equipment. I don't have whatever. Like, you hear people say they started with, and by the way, this is not like those fake founder stories of like, I started with a piece of hair to build my wig business. I mean, like, I can't, it's not those ones that are stories at Jabba. So that's what I really appreciate about that. And I think now the other podcasts that are sort of similar or also have a lot of that, TED. I love TED because TED, you can learn so much.
So much.
Yeah, the fact that someone can come to TED and talk about a lipstick and you listen. Yeah, so I really enjoy that. And also it has a lot of people telling their stories. So you get to see the why, the how, the things that they've kept at the back of their minds. And then the last one that I also really like is Financially Incorrect, which is a Kenyan one.
Yeah, good podcast.
I think to me, it's almost like, surely I must listen to these things so that I learn from the mistakes of others, because in honesty, why are people sharing? People are sharing so that that some of these things are happening, or you learn something. You learn from them. So I love Financially Incorrect, and I especially love the fact that with that podcast they focus on like the mistakes. And you hear some of the things that people say, and you're like, wow, this is where I would have been like, I'm ready to go see the Lord. Right. Lord, just come take me. Let's go chill in heaven together. Because people are talking about losing so much money. And these are just people that you look at their businesses and you're like, oh, these are successful people. So I kind of like those three for the level of sharing and how much those three podcasts fill into my cup.
Yeah. I'm gonna add something to the Diary of a CEO. I mean, that podcast is something else. And I don't even think that Stephen Bartlett thought that at one point it was going to be like this big, and he's talking about just anything, different aspects of life and business, and and the fact that he's like a very young person, he's like our age mate. And he's running this whole Flight Story company, and the fact that it's a platform for so many other podcasts is just mind-blowing. And I was listening to his interview with Michelle Obama and their brother on their podcast now, and he was saying how, like, for me, what I admire about him and the people he actually leads, and one of them is Grace Andrews. Remember when I was sharing with you that LinkedIn thing? But she's now left the Diary of a CEO. And another thing I like about it is that actually he supported, there's a lot of women behind the brand, which is amazing.
True.
But in this particular interview with Michelle Obama, he was saying that he thinks that self-awareness is so important in starting businesses, in growing such a journey, such a career. And I was like, this is amazing, because people are hardly told, unless you're in a leadership course, and that's when you'll hear, oh yeah, you need to be self-aware. You need to know that the experiences that shaped you will also shape how you do things, how you design businesses, how you run your startup, But he's quite an inspirational figure to our generation. And I really like how he's developed a business model around that.
Yeah. And imagine then if these stories, imagine if we had these things as kids.
Yeah.
I think our mindsets would have been very, very far.
Different.
Yeah. One of the things that I really, really like enjoy that my nephews get to experience is they're so like learned and I feel like they have a wholesome education in the sense that they get access to things that are not necessarily in textbooks. Because me, when I think about, I did business studies in high school, and I can assure you the business studies that I did there, I mean, well, there's some knowledge that is very important. However, I wish it was also like, this is what it takes to run a business. Listen to this podcast and then come, let's discuss or something of the sort. So in some ways, I really appreciate how education is happening now, although I know it's not everywhere, but at least things are improving in the sense that kids get to hear real life stories, real life experiences. We had a bit of that, but I feel like now things are way much better. I'm curious if there are people who make such podcasts, but for kid-friendly content. Yeah, because me, I would tell my nephew, listen to this.
I like that question.
I'm curious.
Like even journalism clubs in high schools, I wonder whether like the public high schools that we went to have things like content creation, because I think honestly it's a good career to think about. If you love journalism, if you like taking photos, taking videos, editing videos, I know that a lot of British system schools actually are doing that.
And private schools.
And private schools. So it really helps. And when you say that you wish like we were told some of these things, I wish that things like journalism clubs were taken more seriously and people were told like, it's actually possible for you to do this and this and this away from journalism. And to some extent, I'm like, people who used to be labeled noisemakers, those ones are very good content creators, because like you can sit and talk and create content.
The schools should have told them, you come here, make a video and advertise this. That should be the punishment, not kneeling down.
Or carrying a monto because you spoke Swahili. Sasa juu watu hawezi ongea Kiswahili.
Tuko hapa na
How are we helping ourselves? So I think it's an important thing to raise here that educational institutions should now start considering some of these contemporary aspects of careers, because content creation is now a whole career, and guys are actually reaping big. Guys are starting companies because of content creation and even being in this digital space. And the truth is, so many people are struggling with having a digital footprint. Creating a presence on social media is such a big problem, and yet it's such a big opportunity. Yeah. Now, how many jobs do you apply for? How many opportunities do you apply for? Like when I was applying for my scholarship, we were asked for social media platforms, our accounts. I mean, if you have no social profile online, then what do you show for it? Yeah. So
but people need to also use social media responsibly. I've just remembered that, now the US Embassy is asking you to put your social media what are they called, links,
so that they see
in the application. So in as much as let's just be responsible, because in the same way it can bring you a lot of opportunities, it's the same way that opportunities can be taken away from you. So we kind of have to be very, very cognizant of that. But I definitely agree with you. Like, even the way that we used to view work, it's very different. Okay, I don't interact with kids a lot. I don't have kids. Also, I'm an aunt, but like also they're in school. but I feel like I would want to be in like school and hear kids say, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'm so curious about what kids are saying now. Because, for us back then, it was either like engineer, doctor, lawyer, traffic police woman. Nurse. That was my nurse. I'm so curious about what kids are saying right now, and maybe some of the ways that parents, schools are trying to support them to get to that point where they can achieve some of these things that they want to achieve career-wise. Because also, for us, the way we used to be communicated to is that opportunities, you start thinking about work when you finish your degree, since you got your degree anyway. But now you can even make money while you're in campus. So I'm curious now whether kids are being told, what, you can do both. Like I wonder whether the kind of learning that they get is, let's say, qualitative enough to show them that what you need to do is be responsible, because you don't need to wait to be 22 to start looking for jobs. Actually, even when you're in campus, there are things that you can do with your talents, your capabilities that could also bring you money, and that they could be your career. Like, you don't have to be in a mainstream career to be successful. You can solve a problem in the world and make money with that. And also, when we talk about digital footprint, I think it's also important to highlight that you don't have to be a celebrity to be online. True. Like, you don't have to have a YouTube channel because you want to have 1 million views. It's okay if you grow and have 1 million views, but it's also okay for you to create a space for yourself, document your work, so that one day when you're asked, what have you done? How can I see your portfolio? What have you handled before? What's your opinion on 1, 2, 3? Then you can just share a link and people can see your content, not just on LinkedIn. People can see your visuals, that you spoke in this forum. It's really important for young people to understand that. And a lot of interviews or application processes these days ask you to add relevant links. They don't just ask, let's say, for LinkedIn. They tell you put whatever you think it might be relevant. So if you have a depository of the things that you've been doing, it could also speak for you. The other thing is, I kind of feel like everyone needs to learn how to be comfortable with expressing themselves, because I've also seen a huge influx of I feel like in the past few years, at the times that I've been job hunting, those times that I was job hunting, you look at an application and it's asking you to submit a video. And it's not marked as compulsory. However, we all know if 100 people have applied and 99 have put a video, you, the one who's not put that video, they'll be like, okay, this other one, there's something extra that this other one has done to show us, who they are. So, if you don't have to be a content creator, but just be comfortable with expressing yourself and talking, and because in some instances, you only have yourself to represent yourself. So you have to make sure that you're able to do that and in the best way.
last year I was applying for a fellowship and I had to record a video. It was compulsory. So just imagine for someone who's not comfortable recording a video, like you've never spoken in public before. It's compulsory. So thanks for highlighting that. Yeah.
True.
What kind of content are you consuming more now? Like away from podcasts, but what's the kind of content that really captures your attention?
I think so a lot of it is still either in the podcast, YouTube, or in the digital
Instagram.
space.
Yeah.
But I think other things that I like are people that do reviews of books. I find that content very interesting. Again, I'm going to plug Wines and Spine because I find their Instagram page so interactive
fun.
and fun.
So
You're like,
fun.
I want to be there. I want to be there.
We should bring her.
Yeah,
today.
we should
We're
bring
bringing
her.
her.
Yeah. I think right now I'm enjoying a lot of content that talks about books because I'm trying to get back into reading.
Yeah.
And you'll be very happy to know today, while I was leaving home, we now have someone who sells newspapers very close to home. And
so
I
you're
even told him, give me your number so that you can be bringing me newspapers at least like 3 times a week.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of
Kusema na kutenda. Yeah, so like I think I'm definitely enjoying that content.
Yeah.
There's another set of content that I enjoy, and again, still related to podcasts, but sometimes it's even reading. I love content that talks about relationships. And this is not the content that talks about, let's say, marriage and preparing for marriage. Because, back then, a lot of content when it came to relationships, it was like, as a woman, hey, you need to make sure, this is how you dress so that you attract a good man. No, not that kind. Like the So This Is Love podcast, where
really good,
people are sharing their real life stories. Because, I think sometimes with dating, unaweza kipitia. Let me just say that. So I like knowing the experiences of others when it comes to that, so that then, because me, I'm single, I'm in the dating world right now. It helps me see some red flags before they become problems before I have to experience these red flags or regret things. It reminds me of like, this is not right, this is right, this is how you should feel. So yeah, that kind of content I definitely really enjoy. And I think generally a lot of content that is very humanizing is what I'm enjoying.
Yeah.
So I think I could listen to anything. I could listen to a podcast about climate, but let it not be like from minute 1. It's just someone reading, okay, this is what climate change is. Yeah. As long as it's really like entertaining, humanizing, I definitely really like that. Then just lastly, the other things, of course, the politics. Actually, me on TikTok, when I'm scrolling and people are talking about uliona iko news, I really enjoy that. Just because sometimes you don't have time to sit and watch the news, but if 20 people are talking about an issue and person A has a different opinion from person B, all the way to person Z, in some ways you learn so much and it just opens up your mind to different people's perspectives on different things.
Yeah. You speak about news. Even me, I consume a lot of news online, like away from the mainstream news at 9 p.m. primetime news, no. And I think towards the end of last year, there was this survey that came out and was saying that Kenyans are now consuming more news from digital media outlets as compared to these other mainstream channels. So yeah, I like that they're now breaking news into small pieces that you can consume quickly. Like we need to move fast.
But you see, now that's a problem because it means we are not necessarily living in the moment. Like me, I tried watching news the other day. First of all, the Swahili ones. I was like, I also don't think the one who's not understanding.
And you also don't have to live in the moment. Like, I mean, I can catch up.
I'm tired. I want to sleep. It's 9. But then me kwanza, I'm always in bed by like, even my friends know, if you want to see me till late, please tell me before the sun goes down. Otherwise, the moment I change into my pajamas and I wear that bonnet, and it can be 6 p.m., my friend, you're not seeing me. See me tomorrow.
Turning that is interesting.
You will not. Yeah,
I agree. And I think we're not in the 1990s where news was 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. and then that's it. it later came to 11 p.m. Now you can consume news at any point.
Anytime there's breaking news.
Yeah. So, and now there's even so many channels that are breaking down news into very consumable pieces, which is good. It's convenient for you. Yeah. And the other thing also that I'm consuming a lot is TikTok. Like, and I like TikTok because it brings so many things, diversity. You know, you can be watching a cooking video at one point and then you scroll. The other thing is now a dance. You know, it's just fun, but anything fun for me really works.
Yeah, me, you know, me and TikTok are like this.
I love TikTok.
TikTok is my best thing.
Yeah. And there's also an aspect of accountability in TikTok. Like, guys actually call out people who are like violators and all that. However, we know that there's also another side of TikTok that is also quite violating for people. But I think it's a very good app for creators as well, young people as well, to create content and share and grow and perhaps earn income.
And you know, I even wonder, but it must be very stressful being a parent in this era. Because, I mean, you're giving your child screen time, but then also like TikTok, you can't monitor. Like your TikTok is, you can't filter because I don't think TikTok has like, also, I don't think TikTok really categorizes content in terms of age-appropriate content. So not unless, I don't know anyway. Anyway, I might be very wrong, but I find TikTok to be very, very like random. So I wonder how parents are doing it right now. In fact, I'm sure if we sat down with our parents, they'd be like, hey, I'm just so glad I'm done.
I know. I didn't have to worry about social media.
I mean,
I didn't have to.
Because you know, it would have been worse.
During our days, it used to be like a parent would worry about, you know, maybe boyfriend, amekuja na maybe mlienda mahali, but you'll still come back home. You know, now it's like we can be together, but the child is on their phone. You don't know who they're chatting with. You don't know whether they're safe. You don't know what information they're sharing. Privacy is then something totally different now. It's no longer about like, what could she be doing out there? It's now, we are inside, we're in the same house, but I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're sending. I don't know what you're consuming.
And these days, there's like the Tinders, the whatevers, these chat sites. You know, me, I remember when I was finishing high school, or I think I was in high school still, I can't remember, when To Go was a thing.
To Go?
You know, I actually still have friends that I met on To Go right now, and they're like such good friends.
Really?
But when I think about it, my To Go experience was really like, I'm meeting friends. Okay, of course there are people there who are hitting on you. But I realized I think my mind was more focused on like connecting with people. Going back to school and you start talking about the people you've connected with, so that now people start saying, even this one I'm chatting with. But now, I don't know if I would be comfortable with my child being on such a platform.
I know. How were you using To Go? Did you have a phone at that time?
I can't remember.
Me, I know I used to use my sister's phone.
So you're supervised.
And then I'm entering To Go with her account, you know. So at the end of the day, I
you
like
had a
that.
bit more control.
So the thing is, I like it because at least she can monitor what I'm doing, even if it's with her phone and a different account, she can monitor. But now you want your child to have a phone, and I think it's important, but it comes with its own dark side. Wow, clearly there's a lot to
talk about generally about the digital. Like even this conversation started up being about podcasts. Now we've gotten into
but at the end of the day, the truth is we can't avoid digital content. We can't avoid digital footprints. So wherever you are, use social media wisely. Protect yourself as well. Not everything should be shared on social media, and don't shy away from sharing your milestones, your accomplishments, especially if you're keen on growing a career that would help you tap into digital opportunities and virtual opportunities. And let us know, what's your favorite podcast? What are you listening to? What kind of content are you consuming? And also, what kind of content would you like to consume from us?
And thank you so much for tuning in. We shall see you in the next video. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.